Hola, Consciousness Seeds, from Cascada Café Retiro in Popayan, Colombia. I remember who I am. I'm a sovereign. I stop identifying with the sheep and with its fold: family, race, country, culture, religion, planet, galaxy. I stop following constitutional, common, or statutory laws, which are laws of death and created for the sheep. I stop thinking that I'm smaller than a queen, a president, a prime minister. They are the sovereigns of death. I stop biblical, Quranic, Vedic, or Jewish laws based on the gods of death. In reality, I am the supreme authority, not merely a son of God or a natural person subjected to a false sovereign power. True sovereignty is internal and rests in my soul's hands. I accept her rule and allow her to become the sovereign of my body. It is important not to confuse autonomy and sovereignty. Autonomy is the capacity for a machine or organism or an individual to function on its own without relying on the outside. Sovereignty is supreme and, consequently, unlimited, immortal, and unchanging. This does not mean that as a sovereign, I can do anything because I pretend to be my own ruler. Only my soul is sovereign, and she suggests her Eidesic law to my body. Only she knows the most suitable actions for my evolution, but she will never impose her will on me. I have to consciously choose to follow my soul's suggestions. My soul will also never suggest I do something wrong or go against common good sense and respect for others. On the other hand, my ego desperately shouts counter orders. It is essential to get to know both ego and the soul well, so that each one of us can tell who is speaking inside. The ego. Immediately after the creation of humanity, the ego became its unifying element. It is around the ego that the various states of being were gathered. But now that we are approaching the birth of a superhumanity, the ego needs to disappear and leave its place of the psychic being, the soul, who, by divine intervention, slowly appeared and served to manifest the divine in each human being. Aurobindo and the mother, the psychic being. The ego is the false leader, the soul's substitute. The ego will remain in control of each human body for as long as humans are unconscious of this fact. The ego runs on autopilot and follows two basic programs. The innate program, the least important, is partially visible in the DNA inside our genes and invisible in all parts of the body where ancestral memories have accumulated. The acquired program is most important, is established by habits, values, custom, routines, and faith. It is based on what I have learned since birth from my environment and currently fashionable family and social programming. There are two programs. The two programs allow the ego to play his role to perfection. First, he needs to guarantee the survival of the species and then that of the individual. Thus, the ego ensures the security of assets. All parts of the body are influenced by these programs, which allow the ego to establish and maintain his power over them. When I identify with my ego and give him power over my body, his influence becomes overwhelming. He resists with all his might with any experience that would bring about the evolution of my soul and body, because he is afraid of losing his grip and eventually dying. He exercises his authority over all three vibratory levels of my body. On the mental level, he scatters negation and doubt. On the emotional level, he stirs up desire and ties me to preferred objects or persons. On the physical level, he slows me down to a basic state of inertia and encourages me to obey him passively and mechanically. Ego is ready to do anything to keep his monopoly of the body. He is afraid of losing his place as the dominant male figure inside of me. He hates being subjugated by his competitor, the soul, and works hard at purging the body of soul's influence, short-circuiting her ideas with lies. Ego also divides to conquer. The mental body is perpetually wedged between right and wrong. The emotional body cringes when his desires are denied. The physical body demands that his addictions be satisfied: sex, food, alcohol, etc. It is a vibratory war. Ego is always on the look for a good fight. He spends his time attacking others or defending himself. Just like a wild animal, he is constantly on watch. Anything can happen, especially when he least expects it. My ego thinks that he is a poor creature surrounded by dangerous enemies. He forgets who he is. He is separated from his creative reality. He is afraid of everything. My ego is insatiable. He spends his life wishing to have more and more. He wants to get what he does not have and increase what he already owns. He defines himself through his imaginary appearance: uniform titles, reputation, achievements, strength, power, courage, success. Perpetually excited mentally, emotionally, and physically, he may eventually calm down and simply strive for happiness. He works hard, making endless sacrifices, bleeding himself white for his boss and his children. Still, no matter what he does, he eventually dies from exhaustion, as he can never fulfill all his desires. The ego is in perpetual contraction. He develops high blood pressure, or when the fear is too big, he goes into depression or even becomes manic depressive. He is in a state of constant anxiety and gets constant panic attacks. When he focuses on a fear, an idea, or a need, he becomes obsessive compulsive. Suffering becomes the very fabric of his daily survival. Eventually, death becomes his only way of escape from his torments. However, to keep death at bay as long as possible, the ego resorts to many means of evasion. Sex is his main tool. Ejaculation for a man and menstruation for a woman serve to calm the accumulated tension and to reach a partial state of relaxation. When irritability and stress have reached critical new heights, men become domineering and women suffer from the famous premenstrual syndrome. After sex, drugs become easy means of alleviating psychological pain. Through the use of legal, illegal drugs, they freeze the suffering on the road to death. All these means of evasion are short-lived and illusory. Never can they offer real inner peace. To reach inner peace, I need to remember who I am, Idessa, unlimited creatrix, and to achieve the union of body and soul, I must strip myself of ego and let it fall like a useless garment. Aurobindo and the Mother, Parole Vivante. The soul. The soul is a big mystery. Many things are said on her behalf because most of us, probably 99.9% of us, are not in touch with her. We say and hear silly things like the soul is sad, she suffers, she is searching for her soulmate, or that she is wandering or lost. She needs to be a good soul, which implies there are bad souls. We speak about her needs and her connection to the astral world. Some pretend that opening our hearts brings us closer to our souls. American blacks talk about soul brother, sister, food, and music. Some use hallucinogenic drugs, special meditations, intuition, or psychic gifts to reach their soul. Apparently, some people have no souls, and we speak about dark entities who steal souls. None of this is true. We confuse soul and emotions, what the mother called the desire soul. It is a false soul based on ego lies, and it is related to both the mental and the emotional bodies. What clairvoyants call the soul usually represents the emotional body, also called the vital or astral body. When the physical body dies, the emotional and mental bodies continue to exist for a certain time before they dissolve. It is what we call a ghost. It is not the soul. The soul vibrates at a very high frequency that Aurobindo calls the psychic world and remains invisible to all human beings, even gifted ones. The emotional, astral, vital body is much easier to see, and this is not the soul. For clarification, the soul is never sick, does not behave incorrectly, suffer, wander, need things, judge, forgive, want, or search for the truth. She's quiet, equal in all matters, immortal and fearless. She lives in a world of reality and truth and knows everything. She is buried deep within my body behind the heart chakra, where she is totally unreachable from the outside. Only I can contact my own soul from the inside. As for the idea of soulmates, it is a reassuring spiritual myth, the distortion of a fundamental truth concerning human beings. The soul cannot be sad because it vibrates at the speed of pure love and bliss. On planet Earth, human beings are the only ones who own an individual soul. All other earthly beings have collective souls, one per species or race. From life to life, a human soul evolves. Her voice slowly gets stronger until, eventually, her influence dominates the body. My soul encourages new original actions that are perfectly adapted to the present moment. As the authority of the soul replaces that of the ego, the old egotistic program dissolves at an increasing rate, while the old resistance disappears. That is how the soul grows. Progress takes form, becomes more individualized, and gradually manifests eidetic truth, grace, bliss, and magnificence. Life after life, my soul waits for a most important and intense event. She knows that one day my body will agree to give itself totally and unconditionally to her. Fortunately, my soul is extremely patient. She has been waiting for millennia. The good news is that the time has finally come. At last, my body has understood that it came to do on this planet. Accomplish my soul's destiny to unite with a body forever. To succeed, I now need to follow her advice at all times. Join me in this amazing journey. I trust I will be sharing the energy of the healing sounds of the waterfall and infinite love with you soon. Choose Consciousness Workshop at Cascada Cafe Retiro in Popayan, Colombia, February 3rd to 7th, 2020 in English, and March 2 to 6, 2020 in Spanish. Infinite love.